Hey there everyone, today another survival Fountain of Youth guide. This one is one of your topics. Today we discuss real estate.
Do you think bargain property have a little for sale sign in front of the yard saying bargain property $10,000 profit? Come on in. I never seen a sign like that in my life. You need specialized knowledge.
Okay, so this all started off about 2 years ago when I made this video, and it was all about my favorite base locations, and it covered the Island of Hope, which at the time was the only island in the game, because this was the playtest, and we didn't have much of anything. You guys seemed to really enjoy that video. Some of you enjoyed it so much you wanted the sequel. Well, okay, I'm gonna give it to you. I've been over all the different regions and figured out exactly where I would put my base locations. And you guys can go down below in the comments and type and tell me exactly how wrong I am. I'm going to be covering all the regions, but those videos are going to have to wait. Today it's all about the Island of Hope. Why? Well, because the first video was all about the Island of Hope, and this is a sequel to it. Now, I picked out 4 different base locations that I thought were the best ones on the Island of Hope, and well, I just didn't randomly pick them. I actually made some criteria for it. Alright, so these are the 4 different criteria that each one of these bases had to meet. First off, water access, because the game is all about the boats now. Secondly, resource access, because if you're not gathering resources and making something, why are you even playing the game? Third, you have to have a large enough location that you can build a decent sized base. That means a place to sleep, a place to grow food, and at least a place to craft, if not more. And the fourth, and probably most important thing for me, is it has to be cool or picturesque or something like that, because you can build a base in any boring location, and well, it's just boring. If we're talking about good base locations, it has to have something that makes it cool and unique. Okay, so those are the criteria I use for the new base locations. Now, I'm going to take you to the 4 locations, but I'm not just going to go, hey, look at this, it's a beautiful beach, isn't it? I've actually spent a little bit of time and created a couple examples of bases for each one of these locations, just so you can see what a building would look like on them as well. And during that time period, I probably went through a dozen hammers or so. So in honor of those dozen hammers, I would greatly appreciate if you guys would go down below and use your hammer on the subscribe and like button. Alright, now that we got all that out of the way, let's take a look at those 4 base locations. Number 1 on my list is actually the Grotto. Might sound surprising, it's not something that I liked in early access, but you know what? It's a lot different now. Now it has plentiful resources nearby. Not only do you have the tutorial island right across the way, you have several new sets of trees nearby, including long sticks and wide leaves. If that's not enough, you can find a stone path just to the east, or you can go to the north and find the valley. Both of these will take you to the jungle and the mountains, as well as sources for things like massive stone. This area has excellent water access. You have a large enough area to build a very decent docking system, as well as deep enough water nearby to accommodate the larger vessels in the game. Now, when I set up in this area, I don't actually build any construction at all except for my dock. So there's no house, there's no nothing. Everything goes inside the grotto itself, and it's a very cool atmospheric place. The one thing you have to make sure you do, though, is have a lot of lighting, because otherwise you are going to have bug issues, and you really don't want to be stung in the middle of the night by a scorpion. Now, outside of the bug issues, there's really only one other negative for this area, but that's kind of specific to the way I play. Like I said, I don't build any actual physical structures here. So, while the cave might provide me cover from rain, it does not act as an actual building, so I do not get any of the buffs that a building provides me. But if you can get past that issue, this is a wonderful place to build a very thematic base. Now my second location is the Crab Beach. This is on the westernmost part of the island, and it's just, well, north of the old early access starting location. The water access in this area is pretty good. It's not as good as the first area, and the major issue is that the shore kind of dives off pretty quick and gets real deep. This allows for larger ships to be able to dock here rather easily, but it does decrease the area that you can actually build your docks in. As for resources, the jungle is very nearby up a single path. There you will be able to find bananas, wide leaves, big branches, boars, everything. Very easy to find. You also have 3 different obsidian nodes that are nearby, and you have easy access to the savanna and all that it contains, including clay and a source of water. As for the looks of the area, I really like all these stone walls, and especially these like stone arches that you see on this section of the island. You also have the namesake of this area, the crabs on the beach, which look cool, but are also a great source for food. As for negatives, it kind of boils down to one of them, and that one negative is a jackal. He lives just up the beach where the road takes you up into the jungle. Now, you are going to run into him, so you will have to deal with him, but I have a secret for you. If you damage him, but do not kill him, and you damage him to the point where he will run away from you, every time you get near him for the rest of the game, he will run away from you. So you will never have to kill him again, and he will just leave you alone for the rest of the game, and you won't have to worry about it. Or you could just kill him each time, and then grab all the stuff that he has. My third location is going to take us even farther to the northern part of the island. We're still on the west side, so we're in the far northwest corner. And this is what I used to call in my old video, the yellow base. Now, the yellow base is in this really picturesque little corner of the beach along these rock walls, and it looks absolutely beautiful. Now, this area does have decent enough access to the water. Again, the beach falls off really quickly. It gets quite deep, so you do have the ability to bring in larger ships, but this does have a slightly more difficult area to build large docks. What you might have to do is spread your docks out over the beach a little bit more. Now, this area has really good resource access. Not only do you have the nearby savanna and all of its goodies, but you also have an obsidian mine just around the corner, as well as lots of wide leaves, citrus, and fioja. You also have very large sources of twigs to keep everything fired up for a long time. Now, the major issue with this area has always been the access to the jungle, because to get to the jungle, you are going to have to go through parts of the savanna, which means dealing with jackals and birds, and it's just a little bit of a hassle. That being said, now that you have a raft, you can just hop on your raft and go to a different location with easier access. So it's not nearly as bad as it was in the early access period. Now, my fourth and final location is located at the mouth of the inlet all the way to the north of the island. This location has excellent access to the water with the ability to build large docks for large ships. It has easy access to the savanna across the inlet, to the mountains in the mountains, and to the jungle if you just follow the inlet up. All of these are very easy to get to without running into too many nasty animals. As for looking cool, you're on this giant beach with a frickin' water temple behind you. and a picturesque view of the mountains behind that. I mean, honestly, what more can you want? Now, this area actually has very few downsides. In fact, it is by far the best place overall to build on the Island of Hope. And in my opinion, it's probably the best place to build in the entire game. And so there you guys have it, my choices for the 4 most primo real estate locations on the Island of Hope for your next base. So what do you guys think? Were these good choices, or do you have a base location that you think people really need to hear about? If so, leave that down below in the comments so people can read it and take a look at that spot. If you guys have any suggestions for a future Survival Fountain of Youth video, please leave those down below as well. This video came about because you guys requested it. A special thanks to all of you who have decided to support the channel just that little bit more by becoming members. I am very appreciative of it. Lastly, as always, if you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone. Make sure that this gets out there for other people to be able to see. All right, everyone, go out, explore the Island of Hope, and find that one location that speaks to you for the perfect base.